Hi, everyone. I'm Gold Derby News and Features Editor Ray Richmond, and I have the privilege today of visiting with Toby Strong, an Emmy-nominated cinematographer on the four-part National Geographic documentary series, Secrets of the Elephants. Toby, welcome. Your series is so visually stunning. How did you and the Nat Geo team get the kind of access necessary to generate such stunning footage? And how often did you have to risk your neck in the process?
It's lovely to meet you, and thank you for having me on your show. Um, I've filmed elephants for 25 years. They are where my heart is, and to be asked to be involved on an elephant series, a global elephant series, was an absolute dream for me. But we had really tight turnaround to do this in under a year, and I don't know, with natural history and things, I'm also working on, Planet Earth 3, and that's 5 years in the making. So to turn this around in less than a year is really tough. And so the way we were able to get the access and the stories is by brilliant researchers who, we go to all the scientists, we go to the people on the ground, the real heroes who are devoting their lives to preserving elephant habitat, elephant research, and we gather all the stories. So you get all these stories and they may all seem really disparate. And then you've got to try and form a narrative that runs through it all. And we sort of broke that down. So we have the four stories. There's sort of Asia, forests, savanna, deserts. My one was the deserts, and that was the only one that was a single location. And that seemed to really fit because we had our few Ellies in there and we could follow them the whole way through. But then the Asia one was very much the human episode. It's all about elephants and people. And that's how we approached that one. And it was, wanting to look at that almost like a 24 mil. So you're looking at it as we see the world. And it's quite bright and it's fast moving and there's lots of sound. The forest one was, it's quite dark, it's a little underexposed. Even seeing a forest elephant was extraordinarily difficult. So, there was a real shift to, oh, we've actually seen something in that rather than sort of big sequences, because it's so hard. Savannah elephants, we all know those. We're all used to seeing them striding majestically across East African plains. And so that's a wider, it's big skies, saturated colors, big depth of field. And then the desert, you're either obscenely wide or you're tight, like 1,000 mil on like an elephant's like foot as it's sort of walking towards you, and then sparsity of sound. So we kind of broke it all down into there. Then we had a sort of toolkit in how to move forward and approach each of them. Dangers along the way, yeah, loads. Ellies at night, they're highly intelligent and they won't do anything without a reason. But if you're bumbling around where they are, you can get into trouble. And we had, in the desert, I had huge flash floods come through. We had lions walking through camp at night. You've got scorpions, you've got 50 plus degrees, you've got sandstorms. So yeah, there's a hell of a lot just to survive, let alone film anything.
And you've decided you wanted to do this for 25 years with scorpions and 50 degrees Celsius temperatures and
Yeah.
lions and flash floods.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes me so happy that I feel comfortable there. Let me wander around with lions, I feel comfortable. Stick me in LA or London, I feel really uncomfortable and unsafe. But that environment, I feel, yeah, that's my home.
well, God bless you that you exist. Um, uh, what's the biggest challenge in filming the elephants? I mean, is it besides making sure you don't get squished?
It's a really good question. I think there are many different challenges depending on the sequence you're trying to do. Time after time, as I have done over the last few years, everywhere you go, you're hit by climate change. The team went out to a space in India where the rains were supposed to have poured, big pools of water that bring in hundreds of elephants. There were no rains. That had to become the story. Where there were no rains in the desert, suddenly we had a 150-year storm. That became the story. So often we were in a place trying to film something that just didn't happen because of climate change. So we're having to shift the narrative. Other challenges, yeah, proximity. If you're bimbling around in a Sri Lankan or an Indian village at night where the elephants come in to raid, you need to be real careful that you're not going to get squished. Um, What you don't want to do is to become there's an ego thing where you really want those elephants to come up and stick their trunks in and say hi, and you feel great about yourself. But the problem with that, it's probably going to be fine, but the next time it could be a kid, could be someone who isn't as comfortable. And the person who's going to if that person gets injured, the animal that will be walloped is the elephant, not us. And so you don't want them coming up to you. You also don't want them to be afraid of you. You want to almost be invisible. So challenge is to find that happy invisible area where you're as close as you possibly can be, but not so close that you affect their behavior. And so that's a massive challenge. And for that, the people who made it possible are the experts on the ground. Yep, I've worked with elephants for 25 years, but I know my friends and family here, but I wouldn't think to come into your neighborhood and think I know those people. So it's those people who devote their life to know those individual elephants. We're completely reliant on them to get the stories and the proximity to those animals.
What people may not understand, I mean, watching a show like this is that, if they know elephants from the zoos or from, animal parks, it's far different behavior, I imagine, and far different interaction, obviously, than these are wild animals when you're out there in the savannah and the desert, and unpredictable, no matter how well you think you know them and their behavior and their thought process. There's still a huge wild card out there of unpredictability.
You know what? I'm going to counter on that a little bit. I'm not an expert at all. I've just spent time watching them. So I would say they are predictable. They're very, very intelligent. And you find an elephant, they're walking, so they're not in a zoo. They're not in a small enclosure. They're walking 50 miles a day to find water. You find a mum and her little one, you come close, damn right, that mum's going to protect her little one. And you know what she's going to do. You get between those elephants and water, they're going to be pretty hacked off about that. So you sort of do know what they're going to do. And I would counter that similarly, you lock someone up in a cage for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for years on end. I wouldn't trust what that person is going to do, because they're going to become pretty unhinged. You stick an intelligent animal in a cage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they're going to become a little bit unhinged as well. So it's similar to the urban thing. I was saying I feel uncomfortable in no situation. I would feel really unsafe around an elephant in a zoo or a park because it is not behaving in a natural way and it hasn't lived a rounded, grounded life in the wild. But those Ellies in the wild, you listen to them, you be respectful, you're going to be okay.
How do you get such beautiful shots, Toby, while you're constantly dodging potential peril? I mean, because you got to be thinking about that all the time of, well, I'm actually here trying to be a cinematographer. Now, when I'm sure your natural response a lot of the time is fight or flight.
Yeah, that's again a really good question. It's such an honor to be nominated for an Emmy alongside teams who have a big camera team, and there's a lot of people there and they are focused on producing excellence of image. There's three of us nominated, and Robbie as well, camera assistant. Often it was just us in the field, just one person operating. We prep the cameras, we download at night in a little tent, and you're trying to survive. You're stopping in your tent because a lion's just walked through. You've got a sandstorm coming in. You are literally trying to survive, driving away from that flash flood in the desert film. And then you've got to produce an image. And you may have been 4 weeks in the desert and you're hanging and you're trying to survive. And yet when you push that red button, that image has to be excellent. And you may be shattered, but you've got to remember that the people sat Saturday evening with their nachos at home watching. They don't care how tired you are. You've got to produce that excellence. And we love that. We love the travail of it and the being part of nature and struggle to try and produce the excellence. And so there's the standard. We've got a 50 to 1,000 mil Canon lens. That's our sort of, Canon developed that for natural history, really. And then you stick that into a GSS system. And that's the one where you can stick that on the front of the wagon. And that's rock steady. So you can be bombing along 1,000 mil. You're just tracking. And that's how I kept enough in the budget to use that so that we get those beautiful shots coming around the alleys, tracking along with them, their feet, their heads, moving around. And you do a lovely dance with Paul, who was our amazing fixer, field producer, and he knows those animals to move around. So that's how we got those. We used a load of different cameras from that all the way down to a GoPro, where Robbie, camera assistant, worked with an amazing tracker called Hendrik. Hendrik knew the areas, and you go, okay, Robbie, that elephant is going to come through here in about 30 seconds. You've got to put that down. And Robbie would run down, drop it in the sand. Woof, elephant walks over the top. So GoPros, we had like a Sony FX3, which is brilliant in low light, like 90,000 ISO at night to see everything. We then had, I used a Mavo 6K camera with primes to get a really lovely feel. So we had a lot of toys in our bag to pull out. Drones, we did lots of trials because elephants hate drones because elephants hate bees, and bees, they really hate them. So the Inspire, the amazing DJI Inspire, the big drone, they don't like it. So we had the new Mavic, the smaller one. It produces a frequency the elephants aren't really bothered by as much at all. So we were able to get really lovely shots moving around the alleys with the drone. So a lot of thought and a lot of different tools to try and produce those shots.
That's so interesting about elephants being, confusing drones with bees.
Yeah.
I would have never thought that, but 25 years in the field like you've been, you've really grown to understand a lot of this stuff. And certainly which cameras and which lenses to use when. How did you maintain a sense of hope out there? With the climate disaster and with poaching taking such a toll on these magnificent, majestic creatures.
Yeah.
Because you're a human being, Toby. So you're thinking and feeling, and obviously a lover of elephants. How do you keep your attitude and positive outlook?
I would say in two parts. I would say it's really hard. I get to go to Antarctica and I'm seeing where this huge Thwaites Glacier is about to come off. Nothing's stopping that. I've been in the Himalayas. The glaciers are about to go. I've been in Indonesia where the rainforests are leveled. You lose huge amounts of faith. The two things that repair it and give you hope are the people on the ground, the local people who live there and devote their lives day in, day out to preserving the animals and the habitat. And they laugh, they have hope, and you turn up there all miserable and sad and oh, woe is for the planet. And they're like, we're here. This is what we can do. Let's get on with it. And that gives you hope. Every time it's just a slap around the face, as in, yeah, you can lose hope or you just get on with it. And the other thing that gives you hope are the elephants. I think elephants have taught me more how to be a good human than any human possibly could. And there's elephants more than any other. They live the hardest life of any elephant, and they still have compassion, still they play, still they have time for their kids, and they hang out with each other, and the kindness they show and their stoicism. So you know what? The animals themselves and the people on the ground who have to live with the effects of what we are doing to the planet, and you feed off their hope.
I know you've said in the past, Toby, that elephants, intelligent creatures that they are, have the best traits of human beings and none of the bad ones.
Yeah,
that's such an interesting outlook, and I imagine that's true. Everything we know about them is that they're incredibly social beings and incredibly able to understand any situation they're in.
Yep. Yeah, I would love to be able to say that was my quote. It's not. It's from kind of a mentor, Daphne Sheldrick, who set up orphanage in Kenya and for decades and decades raised and that organization is still saving the elephants of East Africa and them going back to the wild. And Daphne she was an extraordinary heroine. And she said that she knew elephants as well, if not better than almost anyone else. Yeah, they're remarkable. And there is still interesting things, secrets of the elephants. We're always trying to find, okay, what is the new thing in this? What have we found out? What is this? it's less about what we found out for me. It was more about the things we yet don't know. Paul got us in a place, rating in this riverbed for, we had heard rumors from the radio that the water was coming down from the rains off to the east. Once a year, this happens. We thought there's going to be some water. And this bull elephant just walks out and just waits near us under a tree. How did he know that water was about to come around the corner? You know, and I've spent, 2 decades with Ellie's, and I have seen stuff that is so extraordinary, communicating over vast distances, knowledge of things that cannot yet be explained. So it's less about what we've just found out, the secrets. It's more about what secrets that there are yet to be told of elephants. And we're going to lose elephants pretty soon unless we're super careful, especially those desert ones. And yet we know so little. There is so many secrets yet. They have so much more to teach us.
And you're right about the wonderful people out there, including people that worked on this very series, like Dr. Paula Kahambu, who I interviewed a few months back, who has just devoted her life to elephants and seems to be the most loving, devoted person to their cause. Yeah, I imagine you work pretty closely with her on this too.
Paula's an old friend, and she is the perfect advocate for elephants, not just for elephants as well, for all wildlife. And her as well, her passion for wildlife filmmaking, you know, it has been the bastion of an elite who come from pretty much Bristol in England, and we've made these great things. But you know what? It's now Africans making films about Africa, as it should be. And she's pushing that forward. And to be able to work with Paula, oh man, she's on it. She's so sharp. She's so driven. You know, I'll emerge from my tent bleary-eyed after trying to get a couple of hours sleep. And she's written articles. She's done this. She's so focused, so amazing. And yeah, it's pretty much, it's a real honor to sort of, to be able to put her in place with the elephants and to be able to document that and let her pour her magic out, and to be that voice for African filmmakers and for elephants.
You had said, Toby, that this isn't necessarily about discovering secrets of the elephants, but figuring out the future of elephants. And what's the goal of this show, would you say, besides showcasing these beasts in the wild and watching them interact and do their thing? Is there a point to this behind this? I mean, beyond marveling at them?
So I don't think we shouldn't lessen marveling at them. We protect things we care about, and we only care about things we love. We're sat at home. Yeah, we've seen some bits on elephants, but what do we know about them? So we need to engender that love for elephants. And so that's what this is. It's look at these extraordinary creatures, love them. And by loving them, you care about them. And then we can affect change. We need to work in harmony with elephants. We're encroaching over so much land. We are taking so much land that elephants need. They need big areas. And it doesn't mean, it's proven time after time, we can live in harmony with them. So we need to push those projects forward. So we're also highlighting great people who are working on projects where elephants and people live in harmony. That we need to promote. With the desert elephants, as I was saying about Antarctica or the Amazon or this, we've crossed the line where we can do much on some of these awful issues. And it feels really frustrating. With those desert elephants, it's real simple. There's only 130. And right in the middle, there's probably about 30 true desert elephants. If we do nothing, we lose them super fast. Yours and my lifetime, I'm pretty sure. If, like up to the northeast there's a big national park, we can protect that corridor, animals and people living in harmony, let the elephants move through it safely, we save desert elephants. It's that simple. And that's really exciting, to be able to work on something that has a tangible, real solution that is achievable in a short period of time. So it works on a number of levels. There's engendering a passion, highlighting causes that work, and highlighting shit that needs to be done.
I think we're going to end there. People can stream Secrets of the Elephants on Disney Plus and Hulu. Toby Strong, congratulations on your Emmy nomination.
Thank you, sir.
And well earned. And good luck at the Emmy ceremony, which it appears will now be in January. And thanks for joining us today at Gold Derby.
Thank you so much. It's been an utter pleasure. Thank you.